What's up?
What's up, dude?
How's it going?
My dudes, I'm here with Mike, and we are going to the Indian consulate, one of my favorite places in the world. I'm kidding, I've never been there, but I'm sure it's great. It's downtown Vancouver, and the reason we're here is actually because we're going on our 4-month India expedition soon. And if you're a Canadian citizen like we are, we actually have to go and get visas and like prerequisites to make sure we can enter the country. And so we're gonna go sort that out. Should be a good time. The sickness that I have is feeling better. Got my halls, got double sweaters. We're good to go. Let's go get some India visas.
Done.
Some Indian visas.
Done, visas.
Let's do it. Well, that was extremely depressing to say the least. First, we walked into the Indian consulate to get Indian visas, right? Wrong. Walked in, the guy looked at us kind of funny, and we're like, passport visas? And he's like, not here. Handed us a piece of paper, and he's like, up the block and to the right. So we went up the block to the right and went to the BLS, which is the Indian Passport and Visa Center, which how on earth were we supposed to know that? We walk in and she's like, you need online application, a bunch of these other things that we didn't have. And she's like, there's also a location that's really close to our house. So we drove all the way to downtown Vancouver to figure out there's a BLS right beside our house where we can apply for an Indian visa. So all of this was for nothing. So we've correctly filled out and completed our visa forms, and now we're at the mall going to get passport pictures because you need like a little picture. And now we are at the BLS near our house.
3 hours later.
Pictures, forms, everything complete. Hopefully this time we actually get our visas. Hopefully. To say that nothing went according to plan today would be an understatement. My brain hurts, man. After visiting the third office with all of our visa papers filled out, with our valid passports and professionally taken photos, we waited 20 minutes in line to be told that we could have done this entire process, everything, online. And no one thought to tell us that. We visited the Indian consulate in downtown Vancouver. We visited the BLS after that in downtown Vancouver. We went home and did all that stuff and then went to Guildford and then went to the BLS in Surrey and figured out that we could have done it online the entire time. But honestly, I think it's foreshadowing for what is to come in India. I think it's going to be hectic, chaotic, and nothing is going to work quite like it should, just like what happened today. But I thought I'd take today's video. Today has got me thinking on things you have to do before you travel, because like I've said, we have a month before we leave. But if we were to only have a couple days before we had to get on a plane and go to India, we would be out of luck. Like, we would be so done. So here's some things that you have to keep in mind before you travel. Number 1, actually we're gonna start number 0, make sure you have a valid passport. Number 1, like we covered at the beginning of this video, you need to figure out your visa stuff sooner rather than later. Leaving it to the end is a bad idea, but it's super easy. If you just give it a Google to the country that you're going to and figure out their visa requirements, it's going to be different for everyone. You might not need to do all of the stuff that I'm going through to get to India, but your mileage may vary. It just depends where you're from and where you're going to. Number 2, another important thing is vaccines, for no other reason than your own health. A funny story, when we went to Asia, Christian got Dukerol, which is for traveler's diarrhea, and I didn't. The only reason I didn't was I went to the doctor and I went late and didn't have enough time to get it before the trip. So you have to jump on the vaccines early so you have enough time to finish the course. Anyways, doctor said I didn't have enough time, so I couldn't get it. We went to Asia, fast forward a couple days, we both ate something. I did not have Dukerol and I got sick. It was not pretty at all. And Christian didn't. The variable is Dukerol. So that just goes to show that vaccines they do matter, they are important, and Dukerol is just from traveler's diarrhea. But there's vaccines that protect you from death. So you have to realize that vaccines are important. And number 3, last but not least, you need travel insurance. You need to protect yourself. It's very important. I mean, even if you think you'll be fine, when you're traveling, we all know dumb things can happen. So you have to be wary of that. And It isn't a joke, because if something happens to you overseas when you're not at home in your home country, the medical bills will be through the roof, and it can literally bankrupt you and your family or your loved ones, whoever's looking after you. It can really put you all in a terrible situation. So with travel insurance, it protects you from that. It is a small investment up front, but it will save you in the long term, no doubt about it. It's not even an option. I live in Canada, more specifically British Columbia, so the company I go through is BCAA Travel Insurance. I've had no issues with them, no problems. I recommend them if you're here. If you do not live in BC, you're not gonna be able to get that, but there's so many other brokers out there that offer travel insurance. Just give it a quick Google, and there's lots of big popular ones that you'll be able to find. Some things that I look for when purchasing one is looking for a good amount of coverage, so usually 5 or 10 million. That is what I found to be the general for travel insurance. And then a decent deductible, something that is not too much. And a very important thing that some people don't look for, but a lot of plans do cover it, is air-evac. So the ability for them to send a helicopter to grab you from somewhere that maybe you cannot get transportation from and you can't get out of bed. Just like worst case scenario, they can get a helicopter to you to take you there if worse comes to worse, or they find another means to transport you. But they will do something like that to rescue you, and it's not coming out of your own pocket, which if it were to, it could cost a lot of money. So just read the fine print and make sure it all lines up and makes sense to you, but those are some main things I look for. So those are 3 things hopefully you'll take care of before your next trip. They're things that can sometimes be overlooked or forgotten about or pushed under the rug, because it's always more exciting to figure out what you're packing and your itinerary and all of that stuff. But if you leave these things to the last minute or you forget about them, your entire trip could go kablooey and not work out. So I really urge you to keep those in the back of your mind and just always be sure to get the basics down first, and then worry about all the fun stuff and all the joy that comes with traveling. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you so much. I cannot wait to take you guys to India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, the Philippines. It's going to be unreal. One of the biggest adventure I've ever been on. That is just going to be such a culture shock, and very, very similar to what I experienced this morning. I feel it's going to be awesome. I cannot wait. Love you guys. I'll see you in another one.